Welcome to the Cerkl U webinar. We're getting used to our new webinar software, so thank you for having patience with us as we learn about it. But we're so glad you're here after lunch. We know how hard it is to get to the webinar, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, so we'll start from the beginning. Again, Cerkl U webinar, we are going to be talking about our navigational changes today. As always, if you have a question, enter the question within the QA pane within the Zoom window. We will be recording this webinar today, so you'll be able to share with colleagues and friends as well.
And create a blooper reel from like when we forgot the audio.
Every single time. Maybe next month's webinar we'll get it right.
That'll be the title.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you out here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you have any technical difficulties, please feel free to send that through the QA pane as well. We have people standing by it that are able to help. And keep the conversation going with @Cerkl on all of our social channels as well. All right, guys. So as you know, I'm Maddie. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at Cerkl. As you can tell, I'm a little stuffy today, just a little under the weather. Thank goodness it's just Rachel in the room with me and not all of you guys. We'll share the germs only in this room, right? So sorry about that, Rachel.
Thank you for touching my mouse. I appreciate it.
Of course, anything for you. And then, of course, I have the lovely Rachel Foles, one of my best friends and our Director of Product here. So we're excited to be with you today.
We are. Thank you guys again so much for being here. We're really excited to show you what we've been working on.
Yeah, all right. So just a reminder, some of the things that we've recently pushed out in the most recent webinars that we've had. We had Content Creator. We also redid and reskinned Audience Manager. And then the most recent one, which was last month, was Settings. So this time we are talking about the site navigation and how the changes from last month, the new settings where we have controls in different places, things are starting to make more sense. Now with site navigation, it's bringing everything all together. So making it much quicker, easier clicks to get to the actions that you guys find most important within our platform.
Yep, and that's been our goal the whole time, to get you closer to those actions. So I think what we've built for you is something you really enjoy. So we're going to say bye to the camera.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
It's our favorite part. We like the camera to go away.
And we're going to switch over a little bit.
Alrighty.
Oh, now they got a preview of the next webinar. So let's start with what we have now. So over time, we've built a lot onto Cerkl and we've added a lot of new things. And so our navigation continues to get a lot longer and longer. And it's starting to creep a little bit like almost below the fold. And so people were digging a little bit for what they were trying to do. And we were hearing you and we were seeing that. So what we decided to do was to use the space we have available a little bit more intelligently to bring the actions that you want to have closer. So we're really excited to show you. I don't know how that sounds. Oh, it sounds good. All right. Our brand new navigation. So Maddie, why don't you take us through it?
Absolutely. So we're really excited about it. As you can see, it's a lot more clean. It's a lot more just friendly to the eye. At the top bar, you'll notice that immediately the drop-down menu is removed. Now we've easily created this horizontal menu for you to easily click through each of the sections of the platform. So we'll start right here at the content, since we're already in here, so Content Manager. You still have all the same functions that you did before. You have the approve, queue, drafts, creating the new content, and then you'll see again some of the most recent changes from the settings release. Now you have the content archive available to you in the content section. Your content sources also still available to you under the Content Manager. And then you have your content controls. So where you can change categories, you can change some of your other content controls within the system itself. So that's just a high level, the way in which you can view content. Now, as you can tell, there are some other things outstanding on this page that are much different. Rachel, do you want to kind of give us a little bit of detail as to what the thought process was behind the bottom left nav and what that really does for everyone?
Yeah, so we wanted to use our space effectively as possible. And one of the things that you guys, for those of you who are admins of multiple circles, something that you kept trying to do was switch between your circles, your parent circles, your child circles. Maybe you have internal and external communications with Cerkl. Thank you. But we wanted to make that easier. So here's where you'll be able to swap between your circles. Now I have made up ones because this is my fake account, my dinosaur genes. But I'm able to switch between the circles with just one click and it will automatically load. Another thing that we added is the ability to get to your profile and log out ultimately here, all within the same menu. And that's always available to you no matter what page that you're on. We just, once again, didn't want you digging around for the same stuff that you're always trying to do.
Right. So keeping everything within one click,
Yes.
and you don't have to go back and forth. I think that cuts down on a lot of the time spent trying to figure out where to go next. And hey, what account am I in? You always have that, the icon up in the top left to remind you which account you're in. So it really makes it easier for you guys to navigate throughout the different accounts you might be using.
So going down to the next level of the navigation, we're looking at the audience manager. Now, audience manager is something that Maddie mentioned we redid maybe 6 months ago. But something that you guys were telling us a lot is that you wanted to be able to, from anywhere that you were, add a single subscriber. So we brought those kind of action items here between these two rows. So you'll see this consistently throughout the navigation. When you see these colorful icons between those two lines, you know this is the place to get business done. So we have add subscriber, which is one person, and import list. Little things that you might notice is some language adjustments to bring consistency through, so the button you click on also is reflected. Those are those refinements. As we become a bigger company with bigger customers, we want to give you that attention to detail that you're expecting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, still in Audience Manager, you have the ability to update and add segments. And then you also have your Audience Manager controls too. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in there to remind you that some of those changes have recently happened with the most previous release.
Right. And let's say that, you need a little memory jog on that. Your settings ultimately are the place where you can go to change everything about your Cerkl, and we have links to those from settings to take you right here to audience controls.
Absolutely. So I think that's a good point to kind of start there as well, is to remind you that, hey, now that we have those, that drop-down menu settings is not there any longer. So can you walk us through where that lives within the platform?
Of course. So settings is this little wheel of magic over here. This wheel across the internet is settings, and we wanted to stay with that convention. These are all those settings that we released in the last webinar that you've probably gotten used to using by now. But like I mentioned, content controls and audience controls, whereas they can be found in their top level counterparts, are also found here. We'll just link you to them. So that's a really good, clean look. I hope you're enjoying those, and I'd love to hear your feedback on them. And if you ever need help, ta-da, there you are. You can get to the Cerkl help desk this way. Of course, you can use the chat in the bottom right-hand corner, and Maddie and her team are standing by to help you be more rad. But yeah, we're always ready for you.
Oh, what do you know? Hey, Rachel.
I know. That's exactly who I am.
I know, right? So I think that's another important thing to point out here is the fact that we have these settings over in the top right instead of in the actual horizontal nav that we've changed, right?
Right.
So there was some reasoning behind that, and there was a reason why we pulled out the content controls versus audience controls. We made these more easily accessible within the major nav, but then the other settings, why have we kind of changed that? I mean, I know the answer, but I also think it's interesting for them to know that too.
So, as a former communicator, I guess you're always a communicator, but as a communicator, I wanted to put the actions that you're looking for, I wanted to put them the places that you need to do them. And so when you realize, when you have that aha moment that you have a new feed, or that you want to resend the welcome email, that light bulb might go off when you're fussing around in settings, or it could happen when you're managing content. No matter where that happens, I want to have that action available to you so you can get in, get done, engage your audience, and be more awesome with Cerkl.
Absolutely. And I think one other thing to mention is the fact that these other settings, the little gear icon, typically these settings are kind of like, you touch them once and then you might revisit them every few months. Whereas, the branding images, you might change this once a season, but you don't need, that doesn't need to be staring you in the face every single time you get into, content manager, audience manager, right?
I agree.
So separating those two, I think, was kind of our intention, to be able to kind of keep them available and very easily accessible for you, but make sure that we're only putting the things in your face that you really need to get to on a regular basis.
Right. We're looking at your regular actions, the things that you ask questions about, the things that you request more features for, and applying them to the navigational structure to be able to make, like we've said, I know it's repetitive, to bring you closer to the actions you're trying to accomplish in Cerkl.
Absolutely.
So we'll look at dedicated email.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know this is something that our team is also working on, so it's an exciting piece for us to be speaking about. And in the coming months, we have some exciting updates and revisions to what we kind of have available to you. But dedicated email, as you see today, still against in that horizontal nav, and you are able to take a look at your schedule, any of your drafts, and then go ahead and create those additional dedicated emails.
Yep.
All right.
So when we get into Insights, Insights has so much available to you, and you have so much flexibility into what kind of data story you want to tell. Sometimes you need a little bit more of a canvas to tell that story. And that's why I really like what we've done here, which is give you the option on any of these pages to toggle that menu back. I call it hamburger back. It's not a real term, but that little icon looks like a hamburger. And so what you do is you bring it back, and then you get more of a canvas to play with. That helps with your custom dashboards and things like that. On the other side of it, if you don't have things available, we're telling you that now. You don't have dashboards shared. You don't have any custom dashboards. And those are more opportunities for you to tell better stories.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point here while we're in the Insights as well. I always like to touch on the fact that we can create these custom dashboards, keeping in mind this is just one of our play accounts that we have, but using the new nav, you can see how you can create these custom dashboards. You have a little bit more room now.
Yes.
Because the navigations, we don't have the double nav like we used to. We had
Right.
one on the left, one on the right, the
Yep.
drop down. So this gives us a little bit more room to kind of play around and create those really interesting custom dashboards that you can begin to derive some really important information from.
And share that information with people in your team that might care about it, or even people, in the C-suite.
Absolutely.
That's very key.
And of course, you still have all the other functions that were there before. So being able to filter in the top right, so a little filter icon, all those fun things are still available for you as well. And I think it's a good separation between the two, because now it's like actions and things like that are on the right side,
Yep.
whereas on the left, it's now I know I'm going to take an act. I need to go someplace. I'm going to go over here. Where on the left, and then on the right, you have more of that. Hey, I want to filter or sort. So it kind of keeps things separate.
I'm glad that you've been stalking my vision board.
Absolutely have.
But yeah, I think that separating those so you understand where you are at all times is very helpful.
Absolutely. All righty. So if we head back to content, a few other things I want to take you guys through just as a reminder. We knew that this webinar itself is more or less just to show you what is coming, what is upcoming, and it seems like a very big visual change, but the functionality is all still the same. So
yes,
I want to spend the next couple minutes while we still have you here today, and I'm sure we'll be able to break a couple minutes early, but wanted to take you through some other things within the platform, just show you how it responds with the new nav, and it's also just a good time just to remind you of some of the other features that we have. So when I'm speaking to a lot of our clients, one of the things that we hear quite a bit is, hey, I'd love to know what content's available. And of course you have the content archive, but in case you aren't familiar, we have this sneaky little, this little calendar icon under the content manager. If you click that calendar view, this is a great way to always be able to check in and see what content is available or has been published. So the green icons means been published. Red means it's about to expire. So this is a great way to go ahead and give you a preview of the available content. Now, Rachel, you coming from a marketing background, tell me this was one of your, thought child behind, you love that, you love this piece. So tell us a little bit more about what this can do for our users and our clients.
So sometimes, you go through these big content pushes, or you have a lot of content available around a holiday or an organizational event or something like that. And then there's kind of these dead zones that you don't realize that your content poor in these periods. This is a great visualization to show you what is up with your content all times, how old it is, when is it going to run its full cycle or end its useful life to you, to help you identify in your content planning holes in your strategy and where you might want to pop in something new evergreen, or give a little bit more life to something that you think could live a little bit longer. So what's great about Cerkl is there's a lot of different ways to use it. So you can bring your content in on a feed and put an automatic expiration date on it. It's gone in 42 days. That's cool. But if you see a piece of content rise and you think that it will live longer, this is a great way to identify that.
Absolutely. And look how responsive it looks with the new nav. It looks beautiful.
You want to talk about responsive? I wonder.
I know you're going to talk about the mobile, right?
Okay. Yay! I wonder if you can do it. I'm just, I'm going to test
something.
I'm going to test something. Okay. So if you're using us on a phone, let's say you've got to get a message out, you will have the ability, and I know it's a little bit difficult to see here, but this is the menu that you'll get on a smaller screen, which I think will help you if you have to get out content in a hurry, which is what I'm thinking about for you guys, that you need to get out an update or create a story. You'll be able to still do that within here. You know, on your phone, we're closed for snow, something's happened, whatever it might be, you'll still be able to tell that story with your phone. And I call it like a Venmo style menu because it kind of overtakes 3/4 of the screen. You pick what you want to go and you get back out of there.
Mm-hmm. And that's really, really exciting because in the current navigation on an iPhone or any other type of mobile device, those screens are so small and it's kind of hard to navigate. There's scroll and scroll and scroll, but with this new release, it's going to make it much easier for you guys to access that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something we're thinking about always is how can we improve the experience for our mobile users to make it easier.
Absolutely. So very exciting stuff.
It is.
Alrighty. So I really just want to open it up for questions at this point. I know we're ending a couple minutes early. Hopefully this will give you some time to go grab coffee after lunch or you know, go chat with a friend at the office. But let's go ahead and open it up for questions. I think we have a few that have come through. So number one, when will this new navigation be available? When can we expect this to go live? That is a great question.
I know, we're very excited. So it looks like as soon as next week, this navigation will be live and available to you.
So we will have this recording available, again, so you can share it with your friends in the office and make sure they're aware of all these changes and what's upcoming. We also are in the process of updating all of our help desk articles, which is taking my team a little bit of time, but we're trying to be really thorough there. So when you guys do get this you know, new release in your hands and start to play around with it, that you have the most up-to-date help desk articles and resources available to you.
So it's my hope, though, that when this does go live, you find it very natural, even in the testing environment, and that, you know, of course, I'm very close to it, so I might have a different opinion, but I found that I adapted to this navigation very quickly, and I feel like it's a great move for us. I think you guys are really, really going to like it a lot.
Absolutely. All right, and one last question that we had is, what's coming next? So not only, I think this was pertaining to the product itself, not necessarily our next Cerkl U webinar, which as you can see will be on May 8th. We'll be discussing best practices and really walking through the platform to give our users with the new nav, all these new changes that we've been releasing, a really good overview of functionality and how we can start to hone in on those specific use cases and success stories. But besides that, the question is, what's coming next for product? And I know this is something that you and I have been working really hard on, and the whole team is excited about it, and with you like really taking charge with this new role as product or director of product, what can you tell us is coming next?
So our next big push is a redo of dedicated email, moving that to a product we're calling Email Blast. It would be a complete reimagining of the way that we do those kind of one-off messages. You know, originally when we built Cerkl, this was kind of a secondary thing, but we're hearing from you more and more that you guys need a way to engage this way. And we're hearing you, and what we have planned is beautiful and responsive. It's very user-friendly. It gives you the options that you need to tell the stories that you want to when you need to. And I think that overall, my goal as your director of product is to make this the easiest email creator you've ever used.
I will love to hear those words. Well, awesome. Keep in touch and stay tuned for more information on that. And of course, we will be sending out the invites for the next Cerkl U webinar on May 8th. Thank you again for your time today, guys. We really appreciate it. And thank you for bearing with my beautiful voice and sinuses. But again, thank you. And we will be sending out the recording here shortly.
Thank you, guys. Bye.